Welcome back. Astor Services is a community-based nonprofit organization that provides children's mental health services, child welfare services, and early childhood development services. They are committed to supporting families to ensure each child has a healthy and happy childhood. Here with us today is their Chief of Strategic Initiatives and Development. She is also their Bronx Administrator, Sarai Manuel. Hi, Sarai, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I mentioned obviously some of the services that you do provide, but give us a little context into Astor Services.
Well, Astor has been around in the Hudson Valley for a little over 70 years, and then in the Bronx for a little over 57 years, so close to 60 years out in the Bronx. We have a variety of different programs. Some of them are kind of copied in both Hudson Valley and the Bronx, but there's also variety in what we provide to the specific communities that we serve. So here in the Bronx specifically, we have the new Trauma Recovery Center, and we have day treatment programs that service children who have emotional behavioral challenges in your mainstream classroom or daycare setting. And we provide services for them from 2.5 all the way up into the 8th grade. The TRC is available to clients, adults and children free of charge, and talk a little bit more about each of the programs. I'm really kind of proud of these specific programs because of the type of services that they provide. They both provide evidence-based practices to the families and the children that they serve. So it's very detailed and specific to the client and what their particular needs are. But we also have case management services. We have, you had mentioned prevention services, where we work with ACS and families who have met with the child welfare system. And we have other community-based services throughout the Bronx. We serve the whole entire Bronx.
I know, and we will definitely get into them. I want to make sure we obviously have time, like you mentioned. There's such a range of services right there, but I want to be able to start off with our Trauma Recovery Center. If you can just expand a little bit about their work and how they're obviously helping and working with Bronxites.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of this program. It's a little less than 2 years old. We're the only one in the Bronx right now. There are some new TRCs that have also sprouted out in Brooklyn, but we are currently the only one in the Bronx right now. And like I said, it's absolutely free of charge to anyone who has experienced some type of traumatic event in the last 3 years or so. We know that the majority of the people that we see oftentimes experience anxiety and depression, but what they don't know sometimes is whether or not that is something that's coming from their environment, things that they're dealing with, or maybe a traumatic event that they're not even particularly able to identify themselves. So at the Trauma Recovery Center, we do a variety of assessments for children and adults to help really kind of hone in on what it is that they're experiencing and where it potentially may be coming from. And if they're eligible because of a traumatic event to participate in the TRC itself provides case management services, it provides the evidence-based practice services, and then it helps to kind of tie them back into the community through connections and networking. But it's very, very particular because through the Trauma Recovery Center, we can also go in with the client if they have a court case and they need kind of advocacy or assistance, we provide that for them as well.
Wow.
Sometimes we can meet a victim right at the hospital where they're the most vulnerable, and start talking to them a little bit about what's available to them. And not all clients are ready to deal with the mental health piece right away. So that's why we introduce the case management portion. Because if you're dealing with maybe homelessness while you're also dealing with a traumatic event, you're not going to be necessarily ready to talk about that trauma. You want to feel safe and secure with housing, maybe with some food insecurity that you might be dealing with. And so we'll work with you on that basic level first. And then when you're ready to really deal with the traumatic event, we'll be available to you with those services as well.
Yeah.
And we can come into your home, in the office, or through telehealth.
Definitely, and you actually talk about there like curating kind of this approach to each person's needs. With that, we also have the day treatment program. You know, how are you making sure that type of program meets the needs of the Bronx community members and everyone's needs specifically?
Well, the day treatment program is very unique in what they provide. Again, this is for children, even daycare age children who, again, are challenged emotionally and behaviorally through mainstream education, right? And it's very kind of similar to our District 75 school. But what makes it very special is the fact that you can come into the classroom, it's one teacher per 8 children with 2 teachers' aides at each classroom, so it's very, very specialized, very kind of particular to the child's needs. And then on top of that, they're not just getting the education or the academic piece, they're also getting the therapeutic piece. So we provide crisis intervention services right on site. Everything is evidence-based with the therapeutics that are provided to the children, and that's in your whole entire day. The children get bussed in, and then they get bussed home.
Wow. Now, of course, thank you so much for even just giving us a overview. I mean, it's even important to hear that it's the only one in our borough as well. So it's important focus at that. Something else that obviously the organization is also doing is a Mother's Day community event. So you are tapping it into our community in partnership with Catholic Charities. Talk to me about what attendees can expect to see at this event.
So we like to do a variety of different kind of programs and activities for the community throughout the year. But just around this time of year, we have so many things happening. We have Easter, we have Mother's Day, we have Father's Day. So we try, and we also have Mental Health Month in May. So we try to do a little bit of everything to kind of provide activities for the community. And oftentimes they're supported by a variety of council members like Riley, Farias, Marmorato. But for the Mother's Day event, this one's really supported by council member Althea Stevens. So really proud about this partnership. And we do a lot of work with Catholic Charities organizations because we're under the umbrella of Catholic Charities. For Astor Services, for this particular event, we're looking to be able to provide food, some takeaways, workshops and activities for the mothers or any caregiver. So sometimes you don't have children of your own, but you are caregiving for somebody else in your family. We'd like to be able to celebrate you too. So that's happening right in the High Bridge area. If you'd like to learn more, information will be up on our website for that. And we're even going to have a workshop on financial literacy for our community, which I think is going to be super helpful in this day and time.
Yeah, of course. Now, with those efforts, the work that you're doing, Sarai, you are also a licensed marriage and family therapist. You know, mental health issues are very close to your heart in the sense of like the work that you do. Talk to me about, you know, with families when they're kind of going through these challenges, what is something they can look to do and a resource they can look to kind of continue to have these conversations and make some change?
So dealing with, especially in our culture, in Cuban so, but I know in our Hispanic culture, talking about mental health can feel scary and sometimes it can feel very, very taboo. So there is a lot of stigma, not just in our Hispanic culture, but in many other cultures as well, for a variety of different reasons, right? But now we're in a new day and age, and the COVID experience has really opened up everyone's eyes, even the older generation, to being more open to talking about some of the experiences they've had with their mental health over these last few years. So for us, it's been very fortunate because now we have a wider audience to really be available to talk about your mental health issues. So I spoke a little bit about anxiety and depression kind of being number one or the most common diagnosis that we see, but oftentimes, those are diagnoses that have underlying diagnosis. So why is it important for us to be able to take opportunities like this to really talk about what services are out there? It's because oftentimes you're struggling and you feel like you're struggling by yourself and you feel like you don't even recognize what it is that you're struggling with, or you're afraid to talk about it with your family members. And sometimes you talk about it with your friends. But the most important thing is for you to realize that when you're going through some difficulties, feeling what you're feeling, and sometimes it can be felt in your body or it can be felt in your head with various thoughts, is that you are not alone in these experiences. There are 1 out of 5 people who suffer from some type of mental health challenge. And it can't just be anxiety or, difficulty being in social settings. It could be depression because you've gone through some challenges in your life, but it could be something else that's those are just maybe the superficial symptoms. So it's important to be able to talk to somebody about what you're going through. And right now at Astor Services, we provide such an array of services that there is bound to be one service out there that's going to fit the need that you have at the moment and what you're feeling right now. So again, we don't have to talk about your mental health issues right now. We have case management services and other services that might fit your needs. And when you're ready, we can walk you right into those mental health services.
Yeah, now, of course, with that, obviously, you shared some of the resources, even some of the signs that we can even look to. Obviously, as our viewers are watching, if they start to have some questions or maybe even looking at some of the signs that they're seeing in their own lives, what advice would you give them? Something that they can start doing now, maybe? I know you mentioned, obviously, having the conversations, but something else that they can probably look to, you would say?
Absolutely. So I think if you are really struggling with your day, if you're feeling like you're struggling making it out of bed, if you feel like you're struggling going to work or going through your classes and you're not really sure exactly what's happening, reach out to someone because we can do a screening for you, and that's absolutely for free or through your insurance. And it can help kind of honing in on what it is that you're experiencing. The worst thing is for you to sit in on this unknown of what you're living through and not knowing exactly what tools you might need in order to be able to get you into the next step of feeling better and feeling okay. So don't sit on it. Talk to someone, reach out. We're available to you. You can sit down and talk to someone that can say, hey, maybe this program might be a really good fit for you. But these screenings and these assessments will really help you to figure out what's going on with you, with your body, and with your mind.
Amazing. Well, I mean, thank you so much again, Sarai. You know, you talk about Astor Services' legacy of over 70 years, but then also 60 years in the Bronx. So thank you so much for breaking that down for us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, of course, to our viewers, if you would like to learn more about this organization, please visit their website at astorservices.org. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and, of course, you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you've missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast at 5 and 8 p.m. tonight on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with Darren Jaime on Wednesday and with Rina Valentin on Friday. I'm Jonathan Calixto. Stay informed, stay inspired, and stay safe. Until next time.